Hello and welcome to the Plain English Finance Podcast, the podcast dedicated to helping you make smart financial decisions. I'm your host, Tré Bino, certified financial planner and chartered investment manager. I'm a financial planner with TC Wealth Management and Aviso Wealth. For more details or to send in your questions, check out the show notes at trebino.ca/podcast. And if you want to learn more about me, start with episodes 1 and 2. This is the
24th.
Yes, 24th episode.
Yes.
And this episode is one of the first ones in my corporate series, type 1. And I did have a topic originally planned out for this. And then I was planning out the podcast and I was like, wow, this is way too advanced considering we haven't even, fortunately, you know nothing about corporations and stuff. So
when you said the title of the last episode, or title of this supposed to be this episode, in the last episode, I was like, what on earth? I don't even remember what it was. I have no idea.
Yeah, so I picked up what you was putting down and we're going to start a little bit simpler and take our time before we get to that to build some basic knowledge. And the great thing is if you can learn it, then others can. That sounds
You're
terrible.
like, if you can learn it, anyone
That's
can
not what I
do
mean. I mean, because you don't have any knowledge in this area, like the other areas, at least it's something that we discuss, right?
Right.
Because it relates to us. But this is something that doesn't relate to any decisions that you would see day to day. So therefore,
Yeah, it'll be good because I
brand
can
new knowledge
ask.
for you.
Yeah, I can ask questions and stuff as we go.
Yeah,
Hopefully, it's not too hard on my mind.
it should be fine. It's not that difficult.
I'm tired.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well,
We'll see.
what's new?
Yeah, true.
Okay, perfect. So, so this is, introduction to corporations. So this will go through kind of what it is, just some basic stuff about it. So we'll start with
A question.
the question. What do you think? What do you think a corporation is?
It's I guess I would just say it's a business. It's a type of business. Like you either have a sole proprietor business, you have, I don't know, like maybe a partnership. You can incorporate, which I don't know what the criteria is so that you can be incorporated, but I know that's like an option if you go through ISC or whatever that is.
Okay,
see?
you're throwing stuff out there.
ISC, corporation, business. I know some stuff.
Okay, so you're kind of wrong. So but you're kind of wrong, kind of right. So a corporation is simply a separate legal entity. Okay, that's really all it is. It isn't a business, although you can use a corporation to conduct business, but it is simply a separate entity.
Okay, I'm going to say something and I might be wrong.
Go for it.
Is it a similar idea as a trust?
Yes, a trust is also a separate legal entity.
Because I'm thinking about it in again, personal life. Yeah. I know some situations where you would use a trust versus, and it's usually to do with legalities. I don't know, like protecting yourself for certain things.
Yeah.
So there's rules around the trust. There's rules around the corporation.
So you can relate it to personal life. Look at you go. Yes, pretty much spot on. It's a separate legal entity that has its own rules, own everything really, own tax code, own a lot of things. So the difference between, you mentioned a few options there for if you wanted, now this is talking about business, you mentioned sole proprietors, you mentioned partnerships, and then you talked about corporations. So those are really the three options that people have when it comes to, let's say you are wanting to go into business.
It's like categorizing your business.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
So what's a sole proprietor?
So sole proprietorship is one person owning 100% of the business, I think. You're squinting at me and I'm like, I said that so confidently. And I was
it was full of confidence.
Back that up.
Full of confidence. Yeah, you're correct about the confidence.
Okay, the only reason that I'm, again, relating it to that is because I did photography for a while and I had to have a business for my photography. So I know I was a sole proprietor or a sole proprietorship. So I'm like, I owned the business. I worked in the business. Okay. I'm the business.
So think about that. You owned the business.
Yeah.
You didn't own the business.
The business owned you.
No, you were the business.
Oh, okay.
Right. So when you filed your taxes, do you remember you would have to put down all your expenses and all your income and things like that on your personal tax return?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's a key difference when it comes to corporations. So when you have a sole proprietorship, you are the business. It runs through your personal taxes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay? Not a separate legal entity.
Yeah.
What about partnership?
So I would assume similar, but just that now the company is split into however many partners there are. So if you own 50% of the business, then all the like your income, expenses and stuff are just 50% of whatever.
And why do you think you'd file that?
Under your personal taxes?
Okay. Good. Yeah. Absolutely. And how do you think that changes with a corporation?
Well, I'm guessing the corporation, because it's its own entity, gets a little tax package of its own. I don't know what exactly that looks like.
100%. Yeah. It files its own taxes. It has its own rules that it has to abide by.
Yeah.
It is a completely separate entity.
Yeah.
What about a trust?
A trust, I think, well, I don't really know, but like, I think we're kind of talking about taxes right now. And I'm like, I don't know if I think the trust would be under personal.
No. So a trust is a separate legal entity. So it files its own taxes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it would just be like the trust of whatever.
Or whatever we call it. But yeah, there's separate taxes for that. So completely separate entities, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest reasons that somebody might decide to personally be a sole proprietor or be a corporation, well, let me see if I can guide you to the answer. So let's think back to the photography business.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you wanted to expand, and in order to expand, you needed to go get a building and take a bunch of debt.
Like a studio kind of thing.
Yeah, studio. Okay, and you wanted to expand, and you're like expanding across the country.
Oh,
super big. Yeah, really big.
So I'm hiring employees?
Hiring employees, you're wanting to expand, but the important part is there is added risk, right? So you're taking on debt to maybe fund these expansions. You're now buying properties and things like that.
I'm seeing where this is going.
Okay, so what do you think the advantage would be doing, like being incorporated in that aspect versus being a sole proprietor?
Because, well, the way you framed it was like you're taking on a lot more risk. So if something happens to you, the business, your employees, all of those things, you don't want them to come after you. You want them to come after the business.
Correct.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest reasons that people would choose is liability.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of lending institutions don't like that. So they will force you, in order to lend, especially smaller business, they'll force you to sign personal guarantees. And I would just say to people if you are thinking about doing that type of thing, you need to truly understand what you're doing. The whole reason that the corporate structure exists is to protect you from certain types of liability. We'll get into some other stuff. But by signing personal guarantees and things like that, you're piercing the corporate rail. There's that level of protection that the law gives you, and you're kind of signing that away by signing personal guarantees. Okay.
Yeah, because they're still going to be like, well, yeah, they could use it against you still because...
Yeah, if something happens to, let's say you go and you default, the business defaults on the loan, they will come after you personally to pay the loan.
Yeah.
But if there was no personal guarantees or anything like that, then if the business goes under, the business goes under. It's a separate legal entity. And similar to how maybe you could have a co-signer. So maybe for like younger individuals, if they have bad credit or something like that, they'll get their parents to co-sign a loan for them. And it's similar. Think of it exactly the same way. If the kid stops paying for that loan, guess who the bank's going to go after?
Yep.
The bank.
The parent.
And just
not the bank.
Yeah, sorry. The bank's going to go after the parents.
Yeah.
The bank's going to go after the bank. No, bank's going to go after the parents because they are a co-signer on the loan.
Yeah.
Exactly the same with a corporation. It's a separate legal entity. They can't force it upon you unless you sign away your
like
rights.
just because if you didn't sign those documents as the parents, the bank can't come to you, even though you're
not a
still the
co-signer.
parents.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't matter. It could be
So separate legal entity. Okay, and that's one of the biggest reasons that the idea of limited liability. And in partnerships, you can get a sense of there's different types of partnerships, which I'm not going to go into, but there's certain partners can also have limited liability, but there's typically a general partner that doesn't have that. And that means that, again, it's a sole proprietor type structure where you are the business. So there's no limited liability in that regard. So that's one of the biggest reasons that people will incorporate is to protect themselves. You do it to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Other reason that some people think they want to incorporate or not incorporate is the tax side. So people assume that corporations suddenly you pay less tax. Okay. That is absolutely wrong. What it does is open up the possibility of being very efficient with taxes.
Right.
It doesn't automatically happen. So a great example of that is, let's say, the photography business. Let's say it was earning $100,000 a year going into you personally as a sole proprietor. That was the profit after everything. You'd be taxed as if you was making $100,000.
Like income tax.
Income tax, yeah, regular tax. If you have a corporation and you incorporate and it now runs through this third party, but you pay yourself $100,000 a year, guess how much tax you're going to be paying? You'd be paying pretty much the same amount. And the law, the tax code, should I say, is there's something called tax integration, which is the CRA trying to make it fair. If you earn money through a corporation versus earning it personally.
Yeah.
It isn't perfect. There are nuances to it, but in general, you can think of it as pretty good. That you'll pay roughly the same amount of tax whether you earn it through a corporation versus whether you earn it personally.
Right.
The thing about a corporation is you don't, just because you earn it through the corporation doesn't mean you have to earn it personally.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
That's where you get the tax advantages.
Yeah.
Because you now have the ability to control how much personal income you take, and that isn't related to how much business you do. So, for example, let's say you was in a same photography and you had a really big year, and that year you made $1 million. Crazy good year. If you was a sole proprietor, that means in that 1 year you earned $1 million.
Yeah.
If you was a corporation, that means that in that 1 year, the corporation earned $1 million. You haven't earned anything yet. You still earn, if you're taking $100,000 a year, you still earn $100,000 unless you choose to take it out of the corporation. So it means that there is that layer of
decision
making, correct.
Yeah.
And that decision making and what you do and how you maximize those layers and make those choices is why I say that corporations are single-handedly the easiest, best way to create wealth in Canada, as long as you do it properly.
Right.
Because what you can do, like we all know, I shouldn't say we all know.
Definitely not.
I tell you as a fact, the only way to build, to do something big with money beyond the average individual is to own something. So the vast majority of wealthy individuals in Canada are owners. They own businesses, they own real estate, they own stocks. You have to own something. Okay.
Not like own a house.
No. Not
like
own an investment, own something else that makes money without you putting your personal time, trading your time for dollars. That's the way almost vast majority of people, that's how you would do it.
Yep.
Completely forgot where I was going with that.
Honestly,
What was I going to say? I don't know, I'm probably gonna listen to this back and be like, that's what I was going with that.
I'm trying to remember how you started it.
Anyway, best way to create wealth. Oh, I was explaining why it's the best way. But because you need, in order to own stuff, you need capital, right? And capital is, you just need resources, you need money to be able to go buy something or build something. And a corporation gives you access to capital before you've paid personal taxes on it. So that means that then you have, if you're earning $100,000 and you don't need $100,000, with the use of a corporation, you can pay less tax on what you don't need, and then leverage that into bigger deals, being able to pay for more stuff, whatever it is, buy more stuff, own more stuff.
I'm just thinking, like, if for that decision making, it's like, instead of saying, oh, I'm going to take $500,000 in income, and then later deciding, oh, I'm going to invest in this new business venture, I'll use part of that $500,000 of income I took. That seems like it would be such a bad decision, but I feel like people might do that without
Or a lot
knowing.
of people don't have the choice, right? If you don't have a corporation.
Well, yeah. I'm saying if you have a corporation, though.
Yeah, people would, for sure. There's lots of stuff around that I could.
Yeah, you can give for sure. Sorry, I'm saying it more to like confirm it in my own mind, like that I'm understanding everything. So.
Yeah. And so think, like, we'll use that $500,000. If you in Saskatchewan, that $500,000 would be subject to an 11% tax rate, right? So do you have your calculator on you? Your phone? My lovely calculator app, you know that.
His is on the home screen. Mine is not on the home screen. So good luck finding it.
I'll just search it.
Editing Tré here, small correction. In Saskatchewan, it is 10%. They changed it quite a bit. In Alberta, BC, it's 11%. Manitoba, it's 9%. And in each province, it's slightly different. The principle applies to all businesses across Canada that is earning income in the small business deduction rate.
Okay, so on $500,000, you would pay $55,000 of income tax in a corporation, right? So you can't spend that personally. That's just now $500,000. Corporation earned it, sitting there. You paid $55,000 of tax on it. If you was to do that personally and earn that $500,000, you would pay in Saskatchewan, you would pay $207,000.
Wow.
Of tax, right? So with leaving it in the corporation, you have left $445,000 that you can choose what you want to do with it. If you want to go and buy a property, invest in another business, reinvest it in the business, whatever you want to do, you have $445,000 to do that with. What you cannot go spend this personally, though, right? Like, you can't go buy yourself a nice car. You can't go buy a house. You can't like
go on vacation.
It has to be for business use, right? Like, as soon as you take it personally to spend personally, that's why there's two tax codes. One's very specific so that people don't get away with spending corporate money personally. And that's actually where people get tripped up the most, and why people run into issues. And people that aren't good with money probably shouldn't be incorporating, because you can get yourself into a lot of tax issues very quickly. So imagine now somebody with a corporation that was terrible with money. They didn't pay this $207,000 of tax because they're not an employee. They have to now pay the tax, but they choose not to, and instead they want to go buy a Ferrari with it. The government's going to come after you, and suddenly you're $200,000 behind on your taxes.
Yeah.
You do that for 3 years, you're now $600,000 behind, probably paying $20,000 a year plus in interest fee. Like, you see how quickly it can get out of control.
Yeah.
But back to the point I was saying is, so personally, I have $292,000 left to then go and invest in a business deal. Or I could have $445,000 left to go invest in the business deal. So that's why I say corporations, incredible tool for building wealth, because you get to play with pre-personal tax dollars. And that's a good thing for the economy. It's very expensive to run a business. It's risky to start businesses. And being able to do this gives you more capital to be able to play these games with it. And from the CRA's point of view, from the government's point of view, people losing money in business is not the worst thing in the world. People making money in business means that they'll pay more tax dollars, but people need to be willing to take the risk. So this is the corporation is the structure that allows you to take those business risks.
Right. Again, it feels like they've set everything up so in a way, like sometimes it feels like knowing these things seems like cheating almost. It's like, oh, I'm somehow skirting the law, but it's like, no, they made the law and they made these rules. It's just that
if you didn't do this, I know people can complain, etc., etc. Simple fact is, if you didn't do this, the tax rate is way too high to be risking money in risky business deals.
Yeah,
it's just way too high. If they're gonna take that amount, it's just way too high. In when it does come to corporations, so that there are, when it does pass a certain level of revenue. So in Saskatchewan, $600,000. There's a little bit of, doesn't really matter, $500,000 to $600,000 pretty much across Canada. When you pass that revenue, the tax rate does jump.
Yeah.
So in Saskatchewan, 10% is the small business tax rate.
Right.
But it does jump to 27. I want to say, can't remember off the top of my head.
It gets higher as you get bigger, which makes sense.
Well, it's not as you get bigger. It's flat. So as soon as you pass that rate, any income above that is at that rate. So unlike personal taxes, there's a progressive tax system, which means it slowly gets higher and higher and higher. It's not the way businesses work. It's a flat one-step program that if you're under the small business rate, it's this rate. If you're over, this rate.
Okay. So it's either you're a small business or a medium large business kind of thing.
You're a small business or you're bigger.
I'm sorry. Another thing I'm thinking about is when I worked at Vendasta, I wasn't part of that department, but they did talk a lot about like small businesses, medium businesses.
Think about, that's kind of an arbitrary number. Like a small business is like if you ask one person what a small business is and you ask another person what small business is, it's different. It's just that the government has set
the cap of
revenue rates. This is like profit rates. This is any profit over this amount isn't a small business. Don't get the benefits of being a small business. Again, small business is the backbone of any economy. You need to encourage small businesses. That's why they have this lower tax rate in this area, to encourage people to do it and be more able to take these type of risks. So it is set up for people to be able to build wealth in this capacity, but it takes discipline. And one of the biggest mistakes that people will make when it comes to corporations is treating it like a piggy bank. Like they'll treat it like they're an extension of their own spending account. And that's where people run into terrible, terrible issues with that. And I've seen it. I've seen people owe CRA hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because they went 5-10 years without paying CRA properly and just treating it like a piggy bank.
I feel like even I've seen that. Like when I was a teller, I remember like we would get notifications about garnishing wages and things like that. Like, so yeah, I feel like it happens. And I remember there were a few, like when I worked at the bank, that were like $500,000-$600,000. And I was like,
Could you imagine?
Like me having to reaffirm. It's like, I know the government has told you this, but it's like kind of awkward that I have to be like.
By the time you got the notification, they'd been told for years, right? They'd been audited and being harassed, and the CRA are like they walk around with baseball bats. Like they're not the people that you want to be lending money. Just stealing money from, right? Like it's out of all the people you want, that's not who you want coming
not
after
them.
you. They have so much power to just reach into your
oh yeah, for sure.
They reach into your bank and take the money. They'll go to your employer and just take it. They'll just take the money. They'll put you homeless before they don't care. Don't be last person you want to be stealing money from. Forget that. Yeah, but anyway, okay, moving on. So the tax side of things. The other thing is, so there's tax advantages. I already spoke about this briefly. The ability to defer income to other years. Taxes are taxes. You will have to pay taxes. But we are taxed on a calendar year basis if you're not using a corporation, right? So any income you get is taxed in that year. And people will think of people that are maybe you're new to business or whatever, and you have up and down years of income. Unless you're like a direct salaried employee, you have your income changes.
Fluctuates. Yeah,
fluctuates. When you have a corporation, you have the ability to even out those fluctuations and make sure that you're maximizing your tax brackets. So that way you can pay less tax over the course of your lifetime than you may have otherwise been able to.
Well, I was kind of thinking, like, you talked about those pre-tax dollars and playing with it in the corporation. Like, I'm not totally sure about this, but can you just like invest in the stock market with that money too, and then make a bunch of money?
Yeah, but you'd like, yeah,
nice.
that's kind of like easier said than done.
Of course.
Well, no, actually, I wouldn't even say that. I take that back. It is very easy. You literally do nothing. But human nature but yes, you're correct. And
it's like the mental game of it is maybe harder, but
yeah, absolutely. There's lots. That's the like I would say the vast majority. Oh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to smack the mic. Hopefully that won't pick up. But anyway, sorry, I was just going to say quickly, I guess investing in the stock market is another business venture.
Yeah.
In a way, it's
right,
like
you're
owning
buying
something.
Yeah. Owning something. And that's the key thing. Like, you have to own something. You have to find a way for you personally, with my 24 hours in a day, not to be the only person making money.
Yeah.
And
you physically have to do something in order to earn.
Go exchange my time for money. You have to find a different way because there's always a limit, and that limit's relatively low compared to what you can accomplish with just
passive income.
Yeah, I know it's for a lot of people, and I know it seems like it's so far off, but it does compound very quickly once the ball starts rolling.
The beginning is tough. And
then the first 10 years, 15 years even, I would say, depending on your income and how much you can put aside is tough. But I would encourage pretty much everybody to try to get to like $100,000 of liquid assets in the 20s. I mean, if you can achieve that means you're setting aside probably $8,000 a year or so. So 500.
Well, and like your income will go up, so it's like, don't think of it as you have to do 8,000 a year if you're 20 years old. It's like, okay, maybe.
Well, no. So somebody leaving the issue is depending on what you do during school and things like that. Like if you have to pay down debt and things like that. So I'd say maybe not in your 30s. Maybe let's say 35. Give you at least 10 years of working years. If you finish school, you probably go into a job making $60,000 a year ish. You know, on a $60,000 a year income. Quickly bring it up here. That's $46,000 after tax. So you can save $8,000 of that.
Yeah, definitely.
You can. You absolutely can. It's up to you, because if you was earning $50,000, that's $39,000 a year. If you're spending it all, you're going to spend it all whether you're making 50 or 60.
Yeah.
So you may as well
spend the
same as if you was earning 50, and it's just discipline. It's personal discipline. Most people don't have it if you're going to do it. But anyway, I get sidetracked. But the thing about with the corporation is think how much quicker you can get that ball rolling because you have more capital.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the key thing.
Life is just like a board game. That if you think about it like that, it's like if you know the rules, you just like it's anyways.
It all takes time to develop and stuff.
For sure, but it's like absolutely. If you think of how a board game progresses, like think of a game, Monopoly, Risk. Well, maybe not Risk. Catan. just pass over that one.
No, risk would. I think I know where you're going. So risk would count as well.
It's like you get
bigger and bigger armies, and
things start like compounding. It's like you start Monopoly with what, like $200 and no property or something. I don't know. I hate Monopoly, to be honest, but anyways, it's like you get this little bit, and you have to buy something. You have to own the property, and then you put a house on it, and then you can earn a little more, and then it's like. Or Catan, it's like you start getting more resources and then you can build more things. It's like owning part of that land is
important. It was another advisor talking that I was listening to them, and they said, gave a good example with Monopoly. They said that people that try to get through life without owning stuff is like playing Monopoly just by passing go.
Yeah.
That's only the source of their income is just by passing go.
Man,
you'll never win.
Yeah,
You're like, it's not even you will never win. You will always be behind. You always feel like you're behind because you'll be behind. And the individual that just bought some property and collected some rent and kept going they still pass go. They still get $200 when they pass go as well. It's just they have something else and
that's such a good example. Yeah.
So I mean, you can choose when you're passing go. Do you take $200 and do you go spend it all on Haribo sweets, or do you take $100 of it and buy some property? Right? Like it's.
What do you do, Trey? Let's be honest.
Sweets, Haribo for the win.
Tank fast.
Heck yeah. Okay. Okay, and then something else I wanted to mention was there is such a thing as a professional corporation. And this is specific for certain industries, so regulated professions. Hopefully, it's been on the list. So MFDA advisors have been able to do it for a long time. I cannot yet.
Because you're IROC?
Yeah, that side of things. They've changed the names and stuff. I am just waiting. I can't wait. I cannot wait until that. It's been on the docket for like 10 years, 15 years.
Oh, are they going to do it then?
Well,
what are they waiting for?
It's been so annoying. But
I have heard you talk about this like multiple times.
It'll be so good. But these professions are doctors, dentists, lawyers, accountants, engineers, those type of professions. You can have professional corporations. And the major difference is the liability side. So I was talking about liability. When you are a professional, there is a personal negligence side to liability.
Yep.
A professional corporation does not protect you from personal negligence.
So like an example might be like a doctor or surgeon, maybe who knows they didn't get the required amount of sleep that they're supposed to get before their next shift, and they just take a shift or were drinking or whatever, and then someone dies because of them.
Personal negligence. So, but it does protect them from the business liabilities, right? So let's say it's an accountant, and the accountant is building a firm, and the firm is required to buy property or whatever it is, and they have a loan. Well, and they didn't sign a personal guarantee or anything. It's just their corporation. That buying that property, that loan, that business expense, they have that protection for the loan. But they don't have that protection if in their practice they add an extra zero and somebody
like defrauding.
Or anything like that. That is personal. That is professional liability. So the professional corporation does not
protect
against that. And that's why
it's like, just don't be doing sketchy stuff.
Oh, bad stuff happen, like mistakes happen, right? And but that's been one of the biggest hang-ups in my work, right? Is because you can't just incorporate and just, okay, good, go lucky. We have to be on the professional corporate side because of the personal liability.
Right.
And something as simple as, and we actually have a ton of personal liability. Professional liability. Because, for example, let's say I was meant to put an insurance product, like an insurance package through, and for some reason it didn't happen. It got lost in my office, and that's a $10 million policy, and somebody dies, and that policy should have been enforced, wasn't enforced because of my negligence. I'm responsible.
That's scary.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like it's.
I don't like that.
Well,
As the wife.
that's why we have like errors and omissions insurance for that type of stuff, right? Like that everybody's human. That stuff might not even be my fault. It could have been whoever, like an assistant in the office. It's under my watch. I'm responsible for that. And exactly the same with an accountant, with like all of that. You have a degree of personal, professional responsibility, and a professional corporation does not shield you from that responsibility, from that liability.
So would you get different insurance kind of thing? Like,
not different. You would already have.
Oh, okay.
Like all professionals they will have.
Yeah. Okay.
Like malpractice
just double check.
Insurance,
like
almost like negligence.
Like you have that.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Okay. Just kidding.
Yes. Absolutely.
Not to like cast doubt on you or anything. It's just like when you say that and you're saying $10 million and all that, like I'm like, oh my gosh. Yikes.
I've never needed to write a $10 million policy. Right? I don't even write insurance policies.
Yeah.
I send that to somebody.
Somebody else's
somebody else's liability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The other cool thing about corporations is because they are. You looking at the timer?
Yeah.
36 minutes. Oh man. Okay. Real quickly, another cool thing about corporations is you can sell part of it, right? So instead of like a sole proprietor, it's very easy to split up a corporation amongst multiple people. I have a business. I want Joe to be involved. Joe wants to be involved. Joe gives me $100,000. Joe buys 10% of my company. He now owns 10% of the shares of said corporation.
Yep.
Okay. Cool thing for business. I talked about mistakes. Some of the other mistakes people make is ignoring compliance. So there is, just like you have a bunch of rules personally, taxes you have to file, forms you have to fill out, can't drive on the road without your driver's license, can't drive without insurance, like there's things that you have to do. Corporation also has a list of things that they have to do, list of stuff that they have to file. It can be very easy to push that aside. If you're not going to do it, bookkeeper, accountant should be doing it. Okay.
Right.
Other bad thing is they don't come up with a strategy to pay themselves properly. And that's where all the benefit of a corporation can be wiped away if people don't know what they're doing and haven't mastered personal finance themselves.
Again,
and it always comes back to mastering
flow.
your cash flow. You have to be able to do it. If you cannot do it, you can't run a company. You have no business running a company if you can't master your own cash flow, because you're just going to run the business into the ground. So if you are planning on building a business, there are people out there that are incredible plumbers that absolutely shouldn't be a corporation owner as a plumbing company. Don't have the skill set. It's a different skill set. Just because you're good at the job of whatever you're building the business around doesn't mean that you're good at the business side and you can get good. It's like the easiest thing to learn, but it takes dedication, and you are 10 steps ahead if you have mastered your own personal cash flow. If you're finding that you're constantly personally running up credit cards and you can't keep things straight, you're not going to be able to suddenly do it for a business. So if you're in that situation, there are tons of resources. Partner with somebody that can, right? Go find an accountant buddy that's going to be the most boring person that you can find. That's an accountant.
Whoa, let's just
honestly, the more boring the accountant is, probably the better they are going to be.
That's kind of true.
Keeping that part of your finances in check.
I'm speaking for all you accountants out there. We don't think you're all boring. Okay?
Well,
just like the majority. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm joking.
Okay, and then if you are investing inside of the corporation, there is, again, it's a great way to build wealth. You can do it more efficiently by doing certain things. Just doing it with willy-nilly without any plan on what the long-term implications are going to be can be and you will regret it for sure. When you finally get the tax bill. A corporation is not a tax remover. There is still tax owed, and at the end of the day, a lot of tax is still owed. And if you just ignore that and push it down the line, you can't ignore it without consequences the same way you can personally, because it will catch up with you a lot quicker than it will personally. Okay, that's not going to talk about holding companies and stuff like that. We're going to leave it there because this one's gone long. Sorry. Well, you kept engaged, so clearly it wasn't that.
No, I think it was good. I was only checking the time to see where we were at, because I was like, oh, we've been talking. I don't know how long it's been, because this conversation is so good, and our listeners will agree.
I don't know about that. Okay, perfect. So closing, I would say if you're going to take anything away, it's going to be that corporations are a very powerful tool if used correctly, but they are not for everybody. They are not magic.
Nothing is. It's the same as like anything in finance. A TFSA isn't going to make you money. Like, you have to use the
it
tool
properly. The TFSA itself is not going to do anything. It's how you use it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And exactly the same with corporations. They're a tool. They're more complicated, but they are just another tool to build and create wealth and protect yourself and protect your family, etc. Just use it properly the way it's meant to be. If you don't use it properly, it can end up just costing you more, because there's expense. It's more expensive to run one, and it's a separate legal entity, so all the costs that are associated with it. So just doing it just because it sounds cool, it's not a good idea. Okay, so then the next episode will be on, okay, this is just an investment one, so like kind of investment basics. So we're going to go over investment options, so mutual funds, ETFs, active investing versus like passive type investing, what it is, things like that. Just the basics there, because I did the same thing as I did with this series, and the one that I had scheduled was way too in depth, not even touching this topic yet.
We got to get some guests for those topics, I think.
The more complicated ones?
Yeah.
No. The whole point of this is that it's plain and easier to understand.
I know.
So I've thought about it, and maybe eventually I will bring other experts on and stuff. But I think the first time we cover these topics, I want it to be as relatable.
For sure. No, I get that. It's just like
as possible. So got lots of time.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the next one. So we'll see you in that one.
All
Bye.
Right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Plain English Finance Podcast. Tré Bino, Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Investment Manager, is a financial planner with TC Wealth Management and Aviso Wealth. You should always consult with your financial, legal, and tax advisors before making changes. This podcast is provided as a general source of information and should not be considered personal investment advice or solicitation to buy or sell any securities. The views expressed are those of the individual and are not necessarily those of Aviso Financial Inc. Mutual funds and other securities are offered through Aviso Wealth, a division of Aviso Financial Inc.